vibe coding tools along with Bolt and Lovable. But I've kind of settled on something because I'm paying for the pro version of Claude and I don't want to pay for any additional subscriptions. So my workflow allows me to build out full stack apps using all of the tools available, but limiting the number of subscriptions that I have. So here's the basic workflow. I'm just going to run through this really quickly. My first step is to create a project in Claude. And this is one of those things I don't hear people talk about this a lot, but the projects in Claude and ChatGPT are great tools. Once I have the project in Claude, I create the PRD. The PRD then gets submitted to both Bolt and Lovable because I want to see the outcomes of each. And what I'm going to use Bolt and Lovable for are the front end and authentication setup. So those are two things that it does very well. So I'm going to let those tools do it before I export it to GitHub. And that's the next step, is to export it to GitHub. Once it's exported to GitHub, I can then connect it to my project in Claude. After I have the project in Claude, I will then clone the repository and use VS Code. And VS Code and Claude becomes my vibe coding tool. Once everything is done, I update my GitHub repository, and now I have my full stack app ready to deploy. This is the project as it states right now, but where it started was here, with just a request for the PRD. And the PRD was simple. I want a wine LMS that has 3 courses: Pairing Wines 101, 7 Noble Grapes, and the Wines of Piedmont. And I want each course to have a single page accordion style navigation. And I want the user to go in sequence, so you cannot open one accordion till you've read the previous one. So that's what we have it set up here. And then I asked it to write the PRD for an app building tool. And this is the PRD. And you can see these color schemes. My color scheme, I just went to Adobe Color to pick out a color scheme that I liked, and just came here and gave it to that. So we have our color scheme. It gives me all of the information. Both of these PRDs went to Lovable and Bolt. Now, once we're here, you can see I'm in Bolt. This is the PRD that I gave to Bolt. You can see it went through, created everything. Now, what I like with Bolt is that this animation, the animation as you hover over these images, I did like that. The layout, I think this is just a really clean, effective layout. And when we compare that to what Lovable created, you can see this is an adequate LMS. It's got a little animation going here. This is fine, but it's not as polished. And I think that's where the difference is. Okay, so we started here with this. Now, the first time through, it did not create links to an actual course, and it didn't populate the other pages. This got populated later, but this is what we started with, just a landing page. Now it was time for the back end, and it essentially connected to Supabase. But this is the secret key and everything to connect to the Supabase. So once that is done, it creates the env files, and then we have our authentication running. Now, here's the thing about authentication. This is just connecting to Supabase. It is not creating the tables. So that's going to come in later here, but it did not create the tables. It just made the connections. Right. My decision, though, just looking at the initial designs, was to just go with Bolt. And once we go with Bolt, now we can get to our section of exporting this to GitHub. And to export to GitHub, you simply just come up here to integration, select your GitHub, and you can see we're already connected. But then if you weren't, you can just create that repository, and now it is in GitHub. Once in GitHub, we go back to our project, and we can connect the repository to our project. And you simply come over here to project knowledge, the plus, select GitHub, and typically what I would do is just do the source. But in this case, I just did the entire thing because I wanted the Supabase and all of the packages and everything in it, so it knew everything about the code base. So that is where we get to our 52%. And from here, what we can do is, once it's in, my initial thing is to do an evaluation of the code. A lot of these AI code building tools can be rather verbose, so I want to get an evaluation of it. So coming here, you can see that it told me some of the things: the bundle size, lazy loading, image optimization, testimonial components, user progress context optimization, course data. And so the summary of some of the things that you can do to kind of make this code more efficient. And then this way you can take all of this code before you start vibe coding, get it optimized. Now let's talk about getting this into our IDE. And I'm using VS Code for this. So here it is in VS Code. Now to get this into VS Code, what you would do is go to your GitHub repository. Click on the repository, click on code, and then copy this link. So once this link is copied, inside of VS Code, you will hit Control P, and then the less than symbol, and hit clone, and then put the link in here, hit enter, and it'll bring that repository into your IDE. So I've already done it, and this is what we have. So now we can start working. Let's go to the next thing. Configuring Supabase. Now I said that the authentication was connected, but the tables in Supabase were not created. And what we're going to do is we will have, I basically had Claude set it up. I knew what I wanted. So we copy this. So this is the table setup. We come over to our Supabase, go to the SQL editor, and you can see I just pasted this into the SQL editor and click run. And this will set up the tables. All right. So if we go to the database, and you can see we have our two tables. If we look at the tables and look at the records, you can see we have our course description and we have our course progress here. Okay, so those are the two tables that we have set up. So everything now is ready to go. Right. In working with this, you're not ready to work with this because you also have to make sure that these packages get installed. And to install the packages is just npm install. And it'll go through that process, install all of these packages, and you're ready to go. Okay. Now that we have that, we can start vibe coding. So everything is in, we can start vibe coding. And we wanted to create the about page. All right, so here's the code for the about page, and you can see that what I like, it tells you what it did. You got the hero sections, impressive stats, personal story, major achievements, career timeline, call to action, and then it also tells you how to implement it. So if you have no idea, it's like, okay, this is the code, but what do we do with it? So what I do is I would first copy this because I want the spelling and everything exact. And I'm going to navigate to the source, to pages, highlight the folder. You can see I already have it in here, but it would just be a matter of hitting enter. Let's say we'll call this number 2. All right. So we have our pages here. We can come back over, copy all of this, save it. Okay, so now that's saved. There was another step. We need to route the page. Okay, so it's a matter of, now these are 2 different steps here. It doesn't make it seem like you can just hit copy and paste it, but in this case you can't. For routing, we want to go to our app.tsx, and we would paste in the route. And then here it says add the route in your routes components. The route components is here. So you can see route to the landing page, route to the course page, and then we would paste in route to the about page. Once those 2 things are done, this is where you get the about page. So our about page is done, and we would do the same thing with courses pages. Okay, so once the about page is done, there's a couple of things we can do. Once we're in VS Code, you can see we have these updates. If you come over here and you can see where it says Control-Shift-G is how you get to your GitHub updates. You can see that here's the repository. We're checked out in main. Now, I won't get into it, but version controls is important, so we could actually just create a new branch, update this before we merged everything. But what I'm going to do is just push it to main right now and just say new about page. Hit commit, sync the changes, and now our GitHub is updated. The repository is updated. We can come back to our project, and all we have to do is hit this sync now. It will go to our repository. We'll update that. It will also update in Bolt. So if there's something you wanted to do, you wanted Bolt to do, you can actually come back here and do some and work some more in Bolt, because we've updated the repository in Bolt as well. And the reason I'm doing this, because each of these new threads is a new version of the project. So I'm going to start a new chat thread for the course page. So if I wanted to create the course page, I create a new chat with our updated repository. So this is my vibe coding workflow. And what this allows me to do is use Bolt in the places where it's the strongest, and that is the design and authentication, and use Cursor where it's stronger. The fact that I can chat with it back and forth and update the code, and what I'm sacrificing is the time it takes to copy and paste code back and forth. That's the sacrifice I'm making in lieu of working with Cursor and Windsurf. So I think it works for me. I paid the one subscription. This workflow is really good and allows me to effectively build full stack applications without subscription for Bolt, a subscription for Cursor, a subscription for Claude. That is $60 a month versus the $20 a month I'm paying now. Okay, So hope that helps. I will see you guys in another video.